Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with Mike Graham.
Welcome to Friday night on TalkTV. I'm Mike Graham, and this is, of course, Plank of the Week. This is the one place where you don't have to worry about judging anyone because we do it for you. There's been an awful lot of plankery this week, and I can tell you right now that we're talking AAA graded planks, and they could all be finding themselves in the Plank Hall of Fame at some point or other. But I can tell you also that we've got a magnificent panel with us tonight to judge us and judge all of these people for what they have done and what miserable people they have all been. Isabel Oakeshott is here, the inimitable Isabel Oakeshott. Always jovial Jeremy Kyle. Amanda Devlin, always animated. And Andrew Alison, who's here from AA. That's not the organisation, it's just his initials. There it is, Plank of the Week. That's what we're fighting for. We'll get there in the end and we will find a winner by 8 o'clock. I absolutely promise you. And I'm going to kick things off with Isabel because I think you may have the winner already. It has to be said.
How could it be anything other, my nomination this week, than the Right Honourable, if we're still allowed to call him that, Matthew Hancock.
I've just had a voicemail from him.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
don't show me that, or you've got to watch your phone when you're near me.
He's still ruining the day that he met you, isn't he?
I think, well, the feeling... I'm not going to say the feelings mutual, because we learnt a lot, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
So... Matthew has been quite quiet lately, and that's because he's been preparing for his big turn at the COVID inquiry, which we had this week. And my goodness, we saw some good theatrics, didn't we?
He's quite an actor, isn't he?
He's had plenty of time to practice and rehearse for this moment. And look, I mean, it's hard to know where to begin on the general list of, on the long list of plank features that we saw on display this week. But at the top of the list is the fact that this man still insists that lockdowns are the answer to everything. So far from being where everyone else is at this point, which is even those who actually thought lockdowns were a good thing and pushed for more of them are now beginning to acknowledge that they might just have been a teensy bit wrong. Our Matt is now doubling down and saying what we need is not less lockdowns next time, but more lockdowns.
But this doesn't quite make any sense with what he actually said, because here he is apologising for what he did the last time.
I'm profoundly sorry for each death that has occurred. And I also understand why, for some, it will be hard to take that apology from me. I understand that. I get it. But it is honest and heartfelt. And I'm not very good at talking about my emotions and how I feel. But that is honest and true.
Well, he might not be very good at talking about his emotions, but he does it quite a lot. I've got this image, and I don't know what to put this into your head, of Matt Hancock practising for this particular hearing with the lovely Gina sitting there dressed up as a judge, and he goes, you ask me the questions that I'm going to be asked by the top barrister. And then they never get to the end because they always end up rolling around on the floor together because he quite likes her dressed up as a judge.
Oh, my God.
And then talk too much.
I think this is too far, Mike.
I presume there was a wig involved. That's what I would imagine. And a gavel.
But knowing what we know about Matt, go on.
No, listen, I'm with Isabel to a degree. I'm not going to get embroiled in a big lockdown argument. We talked about this the other night on the show. He was the face. I'm not in any way condoning or even accepting, because patently he was out of his depth, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Suddenly he's blaming the World Health Authority. Yeah. The one thing that comes out of that inquiry so far to me is how we were completely and utterly unprepared, despite the fact that we were prepared. And that wasn't just this government, it was successive governments. And if anything comes out this horrible, horrible, horrible mess, whatever your views, it should be that we should never, ever be in that position again.
Yeah.
And it's the only thing that can come out of the COVID inquiry, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but he apologises for every single death that there was from COVID, which is clearly not his fault, every single death. But on the things that he should be apologising for, he tries to throw everybody else under the bus.
Yeah. Civil servants are to blame, World Health Organisation, Boutros, whatever his name was. Here's the other one. He said that he's not very good at showing his feelings.
This is quite emotional,
right?
This moment.
Let's have a look at this moment when he wasn't very good at showing his feelings.
Well, it's just, it's been such a tough year for so many people, and there's William Shakespeare putting it
so simply for everybody.
That was Oscar-winning.
Weird.
That was just odd.
I don't know what was worse, Piers' tie or his awful acting. What the hell's going on there?
I mean...
Was he crying or was he laughing? It was really weird.
You couldn't tell.
I have talked to him about that moment.
Yes.
And he is adamant that he was utterly overcome with emotion. The question is, which emotion?
Yeah. Now, Amanda, a lot of people say that women like Matt Hancock. Can you imagine Matt Hancock as a kind of a...
Where are you going
Lothario?
with this, Mike?
would you dress up as a judge for him?
The reason I'm asking you is because, you know...
Why me?
Well, partly because you haven't said anything yet,
yeah.
but also because I wanted your opinion of Matt Hancock. Is he somebody that you would look to as a kind of, you know, boyfriend? Because lots of people, lots of women do. Why can't I ask you that?
It was just him talking about something being longer and harder has just made me shudder. Like, I just can't get over
I'm
the
loving
whole
this
thing.
show so far.
Yeah, I mean, it was your newspaper,
forceful, wasn't it?
It was your newspaper.
Boris Johnson, Matt Hancock.
What?
What did I say? Hancock.
No, but listen, it was your newspaper, The Sun, that ended his career with that picture, the famous picture of him with Gina, you know, and the famous video. So, you know, I find it amazing that some women find people like him attractive, that's all.
I know. I mean, it must be the power. It's just, I mean, and I'm a bit of a sucker for that, actually, I've got to admit. But Matt Hancock's a bit of a different kettle of fish. There's just something that I just think is so... He's that major, gives you the ick vibe.
Do you remember that picture of him on the beach with when he was down in Newquay or somewhere?
Oh, I 100% remember it because he recently reenacted it for this Lockdown Files event they did, and we had an actor dressed in a wetsuit replaying it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's very much
he was sort of parading up and down the beach.
On my
but then
mind.
without wanting to bring up the thing that annoys everybody, when he did I'm a Celebrity, right? Were all those people who voted for him, were they just... You know, initially it was, let's just do it to keep him in there.
I think so.
Certainly won people over, though, didn't he? Actually,
to be fair, he was actually quite good. I mean, you know, he really went for it with the tasks. He is really very physically fit, isn't he? He had no problem doing those tasks. He wasn't scared of anything. So I
find it difficult to take seriously a man with a crocodile, you know, baby crocodile on his head or a spider on his nose.
But that's why I can't take the inquiry seriously, because he's been in the jungle since everything happened. And he was chatting about it then. I feel like we've heard these lines over and over and over again. And actually, what is he saying? He's not taking any responsibility. He's doing this very rehearsed
just wonder what
speech.
he's going to end up doing next.
I think the thing is, he is a figure of fun, but I think there are so many people who should shoulder some blame. For me, it's just about what we can learn
actually,
from
the
that,
issue isn't funny at all.
No, the issue
really is.
You're absolutely right.
And you're right. But anyway, he may have some competition. Mr. Kyle, who's your first nominee?
It's going to be Meghan Markle, and I know there were people that go, oh, God, not again. And I have long, long railed against this. Oh, God, they annoy me so much, right? But it reached a point this week of brilliance. I mean, so we've had I never knew anything about Prince Harry. Or you used to stand outside Buckingham Palace.
That's right.
You wanted to be...
The stuff on the wall.
I'm going to change this royal family. It's racist and dreadful. I don't know where I'm doing one of these voices.
Like your
I'm going to have this amazing wedding where everything, by the way, because I live in Windsor, everything that she pretends to believe in is a pile of old crap because they picked up all the old people. This is true. Off the streets that were begging in Windsor, put them in a Premier Inn for 3 days so she could come by in her carriage and then put them back on the edge of the road. That's an absolute fact. Then you spend your entire time slagging off the royal family. Whether you're a Republican or you're not, you slag it off. You then decide, and I was really supportive, to get out of the goldfish bowl and go and live in America, right? Because apparently your privacy is important to you. I'm doing it again. You land in America. I'm on one now. You land in America, you sign a $115 million deal with Spotify and everybody else, and you do all these dreadful stories and woe is me. He brings out that book, you bring out that thing that was all right. This week was the greatest moment ever, which completely confirmed that she's rubbish, OK? Jeremy Zimmer.
Good name.
Nice. He's in the frame.
He is.
He's the boss of UTA, not UTI, that's something else. Yeah. And this is one of the biggest talent agencies in America. And he basically said what we've all known. She's talentless.
Well, you know what?
And they're now talking, Mikey, about the only thing she can do, right, is become an influencer, and even they don't give a damn.
No, exactly right. I'm not sure what she's influencing, but here she is showing off her talent in a commercial that you may not have seen before.
Light beer.
More taste or less taste?
I don't care.
Kind of how your girlfriend doesn't care that you're borrowing her pants?
Called skinny jeans.
I was in America earlier in the year with my mates, and because I'm obsessed with Deal or No Deal American, Howie Mandel, which has been going for years and years and years, and there she is, box 23. And you go to yourself, that was the Duchess of Sussex. I have no problem with them going and living their sad little lives in Montecito. What I have a problem with is the only reason you make any money, the only reason you are of any interest is to slag off the very thing that you don't want to be part of. So if you are that interesting, Meghan and Harry, if there's anything that anybody gives a toss about, then tell us, because there's nothing apart from slagging off the thing that gives you a living. That's what annoys me. And for a talent agent that big to say, you're basically silly. Are we allowed to say that, or are we going to get a
I think we can say that.
Well, Netflix and Spotify said they were basically lazy.
Right.
I mean, you'd actually think that if you were paid, if you were paid tens of millions of dollars a year to do something, you think you'd actually do the work.
They've withheld some of that.
Yes, I know. Yes.
Netflix will get rid of them next, won't they?
I mean, fantastic stuff. We've got to move on, but you have to remember also Prince Harry, when they asked him, who would you like to interview, he went, the Pope. Oh, right, OK, then we'll just get somebody to organise that for you. No problem at all.
So deranged and so removed from reality. And it's nice to hear somebody in the world of business say, talentless.
I mean, even Piers Morgan hasn't had the Pope yet. You'll get him first, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So, we're going to now go to somewhere else God-related after that. Where are we going to go?
We're going to go to St Paul's Cathedral,
there we are.
where Winston Churchill had his funeral. But on the website, and it has been for about a year, they were slagging him off. They called him a figure of controversy, an unashamed imperialist, and a white supremacist.
See, the white supremacists, I think, are a step too far. I don't mind imperialists so much.
Can we bring the Archbishop of Canterbury into this somehow?
We must bring the Archbishop of Canterbury into this because he has a lot of responsibility for this stuff, doesn't he?
On all of this stuff, I think we have to blame him. I can't believe that, actually, and it went unnoticed for about a year.
Unnoticed for about a year, and then his family, Nicholas Soames, who's a former MP, has said how upset it's made them. It's so disrespectful. I mean, this is the man who got us through the Second World War. We would all be speaking German. We would all.
It's also just so unnecessary, isn't it? Who is that aimed at?
Right.
I mean, presumably it's aimed at foreign potential tourists rather than their own congregations, which is why nobody's actually noticed it. Or is this just some kind of virtue signalling twaddle?
But I've got some bad news for you guys, because this is the kind of stuff that they teach in schools now.
Oh, it's awful.
But I don't mind controversial. I'll buy that, and that shows you how far I've moved from about 5 years ago, where I wouldn't have. I don't even mind imperialist, because, Britain was an imperialist empire, but I'm not going to have white supremacists, because that, to me, is an absolute insult, and also it's an untruth. He is not a white supremacist.
Why do we have this situation now where we seem to want to destroy everything that's in the past? You learn from things in the past, don't you?
You can't compare now the standards of, from then. I mean,
I'd love to say to all these unwashed idiots, right? I'd love to say, genuinely what you said then, which was a throwaway comment, we would not be sat here as we are, whatever anybody tells you, if it wasn't for Winston Churchill. And today's generation, you talk about teaching them. Why don't they teach about what great things that man managed to achieve for this country by being as brave and as forward-thinking as he was?
I think it's so worrying that going forward that might not be being taught, and the fact that then it's going to change our entire outlook, and we're going to start. I mean, who can we compare to Winston Churchill?
Not allowed to be proud of this country, though, are you?
No, because
how it's changed now onto the website is they said a figure of controversy, especially when viewed from a modern perspective.
Yeah, but
I thought, everything is like that. It's not actually saying about how it's.
So are these people? Sorry, I'm going to go too far here. So these people that are saying that would just have sat here whilst the Germans invaded the United. We're allowed to say invaded, or they allowed to say lefty, because that's what would have happened.
Oh, yeah, no, we shouldn't have bombed Dresden.
Was it controversial that the Nazis did what they did and he stopped that happening? It really winds me up, because actually, if you look at everything in the past or perspective of today, of course it's different. What about looking at today through some of the values of the past?
Yeah,
that might be a different way.
It wasn't controversial in the 1940s, was it?
Yeah, but it's not controversial.
In the 50s, 60s, 70s.
It's not controversial now.
Years.
And also the thing.
Well, I agree with you, Mike. But I mean, some of them are trying to. I remember there was this themed cafe somewhere in North London. And everything, it was Islington, I think it was, and everything was in tribute. I think it was actually. It was in Jeremy Corbyn's constituency,
Of course it was.
and it was themed cafe tribute to Churchill, and all these lefties just piled their way in there, and they were just shouting, "Churchill was a racist. Churchill was a racist," and. Yeah, but what about the Second World War? Oh, Churchill was a racist.
Hamas, though, in Iran and everything.
That's OK. Well, because it is actually trendy. You won't get booked on the BBC if you say that Churchill was a great guy, but you will if you say that he was a racist. Have a look at this.
Like, Winston Churchill was a proper racist. A lot of white people don't like it when I say that, but Winston Churchill f***ed up India, f***ed up Pakistan. Well, he created Pakistan, but just arguably f***ed up India altogether, hated Indian people and Bengalis as well.
Even he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Well, they all talk about the Bengali famine, which had nothing at all to do with Churchill and everything to do with ignorant history and people who don't know their history. And what happened there actually had nothing to do with him whatsoever.
That we can't have, because of the way the world is viewed now, we can't have a view of stuff that happened that was necessary. Yeah, not nice in today's world, but I would love to just teach these people about what it was like.
Yeah.
I mean, I would worry now not having a Winston Churchill type figure. I mean, I know Boris Johnson.
And look at the mess we're in.
Boris Johnson sort of made out as if he was this reincarnation. But, you know, at the end of the day, we don't have someone like Winston Churchill to be here and actually to lead. If something like that happened, God forbid, ever again, we wouldn't have that kind of person.
You know what we don't have in politics? You know, this is interesting. I'd love your view on this. What we don't have nowadays is politicians, conviction politicians, who are happy to do what they believe is right, even though they are criticised. They don't detract from it. Thatcher is an example. You can all jump up and down. If you get it wrong, you're out the door. But nobody sticks to anything they believe in nowadays. It's all about focus groups and social media and photo opportunities. Nobody like Winston Churchill has ever. Sorry, it does my head in.
And trying to make sure you don't get cancelled. Andrew, it's your turn. Who's your first nominee?
Ministry of Justice.
Well done.
I've got it right.
You have. Top man.
I remember David Davis saying, if you go to the police and you say to them, would you like more powers? They'll say, oh, yes, please. And they'll take as many powers as they want. Now, they've had all sorts of powers, like blocking the King's Highway when it comes to these Just Stop Oil protesters. They could have arrested them, they could have pulled them off, they could have done it. But no, apparently they needed more powers. And the government has given them more powers. And now, eventually, they seem to be doing their job and they're removing these people from the streets. And of course, at Lords the other day, they were even quicker at removing them from.
Yeah, but that wasn't the police, though. Let's have a look at what Johnny Bairstow did. I think he put the cricket team in charge of Just Stop Oil and their protests. Let's see.
The early stages of play, Johnny Bairstow forced to carry off a protester after orange powder was thrown. They quickly cleared it up and play got back underway. We'll bring you the latest from Lords. That's on the way.
So you're telling me the police are actually going to start removing these
the police have been starting to remove them, and that's absolutely great. So your next thing is they go to court. Because of the backlog of court cases, some of these people may not even go to court until 2025.
Oh,
I mean, the backlog is such... It's even longer now than it was since just after
so what, do they
the
remain
pandemic
on bail
and the
or
COVID
something
restrictions. And it's just utterly ridiculous.
Surely they should just lock them up until they can get a trial, and then that way they're off the streets. Because there's that.
Well, then, unfortunately, Mike, they'll actually be in prison for about 2 years.
Good.
Well, yes,
they wouldn't be on the
get
street
2 years for doing it. But I mean, but this is how long the backlog is.
Well, then they can let them go once they get this trial. Maybe we could,
does it?
But we could work to this to our advantage. But we've got all these do-gooders in the justice system, so we can't do that. Can't lock them up without trial. Why not? You know, they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. That woman, Phoebe, with the pink hair and the £40,000 a year private school education. She turns up about every protest they've got, gets arrested every protest they've got, and every time she's being led away, oh, you're sitting here with my friends. No, you're not. You're doing the same thing every bloody time. Go to jail. Do not pass go, do not collect £200. We'll see in a couple of years if we can get a trial organised. Otherwise, you'll be there until you rot.
I mean,
how about that?
Yeah, it ought to be very quick to process.
I like the link between the Johnny Bairstow thing and them being out on bail.
Yeah, got it.
Do you know what's great, though? If the
he got that, he was waiting.
If they appear at Wimbledon next week, I'm going to be there and I'll be carting them off. I'm going to start, I'm going to...
Well, do you know what they didn't...
Do
you know where they didn't demonstrate? Was at Glastonbury.
Oh,
because, of course, they were all down
too busy holding hands going, we love migrants.
No, they were all too busy holding hands singing, refugees are welcome here. You're not welcome at Glastonbury because there's a bloody great big fence there that stops you getting in unless you paid 350 quid for a ticket.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
That pissed me off.
Absolute planks. Complete planks. Yeah. Listen, we've done well, though. We've only had to... She can say that. Yeah, she can. I don't think people will mind. If you're offended by anything Isabel Oakeshott has said, bad luck. We'll be doing some more offensive action coming up after this when we tell you all about a cosmetics company that wants to welcome migrants here, and also the Home Office. What the hell are they doing? It's Plank of the Week. Welcome back to Plank of the Week. We're well underway, and I tell you what, all 4 of those first few nominations could possibly be the winners. But I've got another one for you, and this, I'm surprised, doesn't appear more often, guys. It's the Home Office. The Home Office, which is clearly not fit for purpose, which was said to be not fit for purpose by John Reid back in the time when we had a Labour government years ago.
Was he the manager of Elton John?
No, not the same.
Oh, right.
No, this is the guy who's a Celtics. You see him at Celtic all the time. He's a big
I don't know what's
Celtic
happened
man.
to him. I think it's House of Lords.
I think he might be in the House of Lords.
Who isn't?
Lord Reid of Drumgannon or something like that.
Drumgannon?
Something like that.
Always quite scary looking, I thought.
He was, yeah, but actually not a bad guy. But anyway, he called the Home Office not fit for purpose at least 15 years ago, and it hasn't got any better.
No.
They decided to come up with this great plan this week where apparently they can get some people to Rwanda. No problem at all. We've now worked it out. We can actually get them on a flight. We won't have a problem with the European Convention on Human Rights. We won't have any problems with lefty lawyers. You know, if you go to a travel agent, you can fly to Kigali, I think, for about
a few hundred quid.
350 quid each way. Maybe if you get a day return, you can get it for 500.
Right.
Home Office cost £170,000. What?
Are we sending them first class? Or
Well,
what?
you can get a first class ticket apparently to New York on BA for about 16,000. I'm told.
I mean, this is insane.
It's a bit
isn't
rich
it?
for my blood.
Look, I'm happy to escort some. Is anyone else coming? Are you going to
see, my problem with this is I don't get into an argument about Rwanda, right? All the arguments about migration, you know where I am with this. Honestly, we should be caring about the people in this country. 169 grand, you could build the migrants a house, couldn't you, to be perfectly honest, the way this country is going. It's a joke. But then we're dealing with a Home Office, right, whose very own civil servant union is actually in court trying to tell its government that it doesn't agree with their policy. So you've got an elected, democratically elected government, whether you like them or not, being told what to do by the union of civil servants.
You've got the civil servants there actively trying to force out the Home Secretary.
It's not their job, man.
That's what they've been trying to do.
Well, how about this, right? According to analysis of the levels of current illegal migration, which we're told isn't important because it's a very small number, right? Apparently, if it continues on the current trend, it will rise to 185,000 a year by 2026, which means costs will mean it will now reach 32 million a day.
I mean, you're laughing, but
these are actual Home Office figures.
Tragedy.
Your laughter there was as genuine as Matt Hancock.
I know. Well, I
ridiculous.
find it extraordinary. And of course, backwards and forwards in the courts. Is it legal? Is it not legal? There's another hearing this week. Doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, there'll be another hearing next week. There'll be another hearing next year. I mean,
we'll just put them on a plane and tell the pilot to take off.
Yeah.
End of.
Do you know what I don't get on a serious note, actually? How successive governments, not just the Tory government, but governments for 20, 30 years, haven't gone... You know, the Home Office is not fit for purpose. Our processing system isn't fit for purpose.
No.
I don't understand why somebody can't say, right, I'm going to spend 6 months, you're in charge of it, get me a processing system that is speedy, cost-effective and deals with this problem. Nobody.
That would be sensible, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
but I get the feeling they want there to be a problem politically. We were talking about this last night.
Yeah, I don't understand.
They do, but the point, basically, the whole country isn't fit for purpose.
No.
I'm sorry, we're beginning to look like a failed state.
We really are.
In fact, we might even be able to learn something from Rwanda. I mean,
it's like Lebanon with... I was going to say, it's like Lebanon with electricity and water, but actually, it's not. We haven't got water.
No.
So we're getting closer and closer to Lebanon.
Electricity is too expensive.
Yeah, nobody can afford electricity.
So we live in Lebanon.
Yeah.
There we go.
Without the weather. So, you know.
It's not getting any better.
No.
So we basically live
the
on a Scottish island without any... Yeah, we've got no electricity, no water, no sense of humour, and the weather's crap.
Nothing to look forward to.
No.
Nothing by the
we get
ton.
charged a lot for it as well.
Yeah,
you know,
so you can
apart from that, it's a great place to live.
Yeah, you can live in... Well, you live in Yorkshire, which is a lot cheaper, isn't it?
A lot cheaper.
Did you say cheaper or cheaper?
You wanted to hear cheaper.
That's Wales.
Yeah. Anyway, I think the Home Office is a winner, but you may differ from me. It doesn't matter.
I don't think you can win your own programme.
I do, all the time.
But I don't think that's allowed.
One of the reasons it's such a success.
I've never understood the voting system for this.
It's very simple.
There is
dictatorship, isn't it?
Listen, the only...
You're an imperialist, Graham.
It's very true. It's very true to say, as you look around the world, the only places now that are run well are actually run by dictators. Benign dictatorship. That's what you want.
I think I'm all in.
Yeah.
I think
so. Let's all move somewhere.
She's turning out tonight, isn't she? She's sworn. She says I'm all into it.
That's it.
I mean, honestly, it's all going on.
We're off to a banana republic after this.
You're not allowed to say that.
Isabel, off you go. What's your second one?
Oh, I'd like to send these people to a banana republic. This is Lush Cosmetics. So there I was, minding my own business in Paddington Station earlier this week, thinking... I might just buy a couple of those pretty bath bombs. And then I see, smack in the middle of the window there, a big sign saying, we welcome,
let's
I'm
have a
paraphrasing
look at it.
here.
I think we've got the sign.
Wherever you come from, however you got here, we welcome you, with a big picture of all the different methods you can get to Britain, including, and here's the clincher, an inflatable boat. So here we have a supposedly reputable, massive cosmetics brand literally promoting illegal channel crossings. It is unbelievably irresponsible.
And encouraging people to put their own lives in danger in order to fund a criminal enterprise run by gangsters. Brilliant.
Absolutely. That is what that is.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how that they feel that that's OK. And when challenged on it, their head of campaigns came out with some, well, frankly, the usual absolute twaddle about how there are no safe routes to get here. Well, let me tell him, if he bothered doing any research, there are plenty of safe routes. The first one is known as the visa scheme.
Right.
Which
or
is
the
really,
airport.
Apparently you can't get a visa for an illegal immigrant.
Oh, I don't know. About like a million.
That in to wind you up.
You wouldn't be an illegal immigrant if you'd got the visa.
The funny thing is about these safe routes that don't exist.
It's
apparently
ridiculous.
1.2 million people came on a safe route in 2022.
I can tell you a safe route.
The visa scheme.
That was safe.
Get a plane. Can I tell you? Do you remember that years ago, Gerald? Do you remember Ratner's The Jury?
Yeah.
And he got drunk.
A load of crap.
You just said pissed. I'm not going to do that. And he basically went on television and said, my jury's crap. And the whole bit. I think this is a PR disaster for Lush Cosmetics, which, by the way, do you buy that stuff? Because those bombs are not great for your skin, allegedly. I'll tell you what I would do. I'd give all of those bombs away, one each to the Just Stop Oil protesters, because they stink and need a wash. That's what I do.
They're encouraging people to write letters to migrants. How do you send a letter to a migrant if he's of no fixed abode?
I'm sure he does fixed abode. He's got a house, doesn't he? Come on.
Care of the Britannia Hotel, Liverpool.
Care of the British taxpayer.
Mike and I, through our many divorces, are thinking of taking the Eurostone to France, buying a blow-up tea, come back and ending up in a 4-star hotel.
Did you see the story of the guy?
Which all right, son.
Yeah, why not? Did you see the story of the guy a couple of weeks ago? In fact, didn't make it onto Planks last week because we had so many other good ones. This was a guy who came here illegally, something like 20 years ago, decided he fancied a holiday in France, but because he was illegal, he wasn't sure he could come back legally. So he just hopped on a dinghy and came back across on a dinghy. Only this time he got caught, and now he's in prison.
When you say about our state, though, Isabel, you do honestly get to a point where you think that, don't you?
But then a lot of the companies who have kind of gone down this route and been very woke, what's the saying? Go woke, go broke.
Right.
And that has happened, so that kind of gives me faith that maybe we all kind of do see the common sense side of things in the end. It's just the big companies who need to...
But this is brainwashing. I don't want to see companies like this getting involved in this type of politics. Just stick to selling soap.
Do you know who the major shareholder of Lush is? Julian
well.
Welby. I'm winding you up.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
Nothing
surprised.
Probably is the Church of England.
I mean, they are divesting themselves, the Church of England, of all their oil and gas shareholdings, which is pretty ironic.
It's getting near to my favourite voice.
Pretty ironic, considering that my lord, Justin Welby, used to work for BP.
Yeah,
in the days
also got done for speeding, didn't he?
He did get done for speeding, yeah. He couldn't put God was my passenger down because that would have been illegal, obviously.
I'd like him to speed to the exit. Please.
You've got the latest First Minister of Scotland to talk about.
To me, and I only know this because I literally, do you watch and listen to the Independent Republic of Mike Graham? Because it is the forefront of his time.
Yeah.
This is all this station should be about, my humble opinion. He named him Humza Useless. I mean, the problem with him...
Well, he is useless.
This is the story this week where Theresa Mallet, not Timmy's mother, this is a lady in Scotland who interrupted this... This was his big moment. He was going to announce about it. It was all about Scottish independence. He got heckled, so he decided to walk into the audience and avail himself of Theresa Mallet, who was particularly hacked off because she and many other, I think, women and men are trying to get a public inquiry in Scotland into a certain surgeon, and Useless has refused to do it. So she was giving him, I mean, literally giving him. This guy has to be the most incompetent, the most ludicrously useless politician. Yeah. I mean... He was the anointed one from Jimmy
You're not counting Mark Drakeford, obviously.
Well, I think he's running Drakeford close.
They are.
Listen, the thing about Yusuf is he was the anointed one of Jimmy Cranky, who's now, awaiting whatever might happen, right?
Yeah.
And then,
but she's completely innocent, though. She's told us.
Oh, no,
there's no need to investigate.
And they say, are you going to throw her out the party? No, I haven't got to buy her some flowers. That was a Scottish accent. So he buys her some flowers.
I'm really glad
whenever he gets, as you
Not
said,
very many flowers, though.
No, not many flowers. No. I don't know where that's come from. And then, of course, whenever he's asked it, he said, well, I can't say anything. There's a police investigation. I would absolutely categorically tell you that Theresa May, what's she called? Jimmy Cranky.
Timmy Mallet.
Timmy Mallet. No, not Timmy. Theresa May. You've completely ruined me now. I would say that Scottish independence is over, man.
It's done.
It is absolutely appalling.
Yeah,
Sorry.
come on, Ms. Mallet. Tell us what you think of Humza Useless. Have a go.
And you're the only one that can give me a public clinic. You're the only one. No, I've had enough of the whole lot of you. You've had your opportunity. Every hospital in Scotland is safe for every one of you here today. And I will fight to my last breath to get that.
It always sounds more aggressive in Scottish, doesn't it?
Yes.
Good for her, though.
I love
Good for her.
The third thing about all of this is going to hand the Labour Party control of Scotland and will help them, unfortunately, maybe get into 10 Downing Street. I think the SNP have gone from, I mean, the breakdown from Sturgeon and Murrell to him from where they were a year ago is extraordinary.
Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah.
I don't like her. I got told off for calling her that horrible little woman up north.
Who told you?
Oh, some people online.
Yeah.
Her husband or something.
Well,
no, he was too busy with his hands.
But have you ever seen? I mean, you know, the thing about the ridiculousness though of the whole thing is that they all keep hiding behind this police investigation.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean,
in any other country,
in
any other country, the former leader has been arrested by the police and questioned for 8 hours.
Yeah.
And the media in Scotland are all going, well, yeah, but they released her without charge. Well, that doesn't mean that that's the end of the story.
And again, not sticking up for Boris Johnson. Bit of cake and a ticket before you jump up and down. She was arrested. Yeah. Absolutely make the point. No charges yet. Absolutely make the point. We don't know where we're at. Big screen in the front garden. Doesn't look great, and they're still giving her airtime. I think the SNP are finished in Scotland.
I think they are. I think you're absolutely right. Well, we've got coming up some more for you because we haven't finished yet. We're going to go back. You'll be delighted to hear, Jeremy, to ITV, what they've been up to lately. Not very much. Holly Willoughby may get a mention. And also, don't ridicule children. That would be a message from the Plank of the Week panel. We've got more coming up after this on TalkTV. Welcome back to Plank of the Week. We are very well more than halfway through the judging at the moment, but the judgment will be made at the end, as indeed all judgments are made, so you will always be judged at the end of whatever it is that you're doing. Got a brilliant panel here. Tonight, it's Amanda Devlin's time to give us your second nominee.
Holly Willoughby.
Yes.
Who I am a little bit fed up of actually.
Well, as I can tell you, as it's pronounced in France, because we actually got a bit of a quote from the French media who were doing the Holly Willoughby story, and they call her Holly Willoughby. Holly Willoughby. It's very great.
There are too many bad accents on the show. I'm going to put that out
you're
there.
right about that. What are you
Stop
doing?
spitting your water out. Anyway, Holly Willoughby has won again. No, she won again.
So,
what did she do this time?
Everything.
Oh no! God, you can't take you anywhere.
Everything that's been going on.
Yes, she can.
Yes.
This is my time. Oh.
Come on, this is her time. You sounded like Holly Willoughby. Now get out.
Yes.
Off you go.
Going to get him sacked. No, so ITV have backed Holly Willoughby when she turned on Philip Schofield. He's been out the door for a few weeks. Yeah. She's just kind of got on with it as if absolutely nothing's happened. You know, she's just been replacing him with a couple of female presenters, a couple of male presenters, just getting on with her life. She's got a holiday next month. So she'll be away for the summer for about 6 weeks. Yeah. Comes back in September. But she actually decided to have a day off on Monday because she was at Glastonbury over the weekend, having flown there by helicopter.
She likes to punt the old green economy, doesn't she? She likes to tell people to, you know, live sustainably and all that.
I know, and I would love. I mean, I'm just jealous because I'd love to go in a helicopter to Glastonbury. That would be my kind of ideal choice. To just, thank you. I'll just toss her around.
And then party for 12 hours. But then she missed the show on the Monday.
She missed the show on the Monday. She came back on Tuesday. But without her voice. So she was kind of croaking.
She'd been singing, or...
She said she'd been singing. Well, she'd been singing.
But she missed something else on
Elton
Tuesday.
John, she said.
Did she not miss something else on Tuesday?
She did, indeed. She missed Trick Awards.
The Trick Awards.
Which this morning was nominated. It's all public vote.
Yes.
But TalkTV did an astounding job during the awards. We had Julia Hartley-Brewer win Best Radio Programme. We had Piers Morgan win for Interview of the Year. So we did so brilliantly.
Yeah. James Whale got...
He did, yeah.
Lifetime achievement.
Next year.
Yeah.
No, for James Whale.
James Whale was...
Can I just say, sorry, and he knows I'll do this, that he deserves that award.
He's fantastic.
So much. Whatever you think, One of the reasons I got into it. Respect.
50 years on the air, amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's lovely
But she didn't go.
Of course she didn't go, because they didn't
and
win.
also the Trick Awards, which a lot of people hadn't heard of until this year, suddenly this morning used to dominate them all. But they didn't really send anybody along. People who were normally officially there all the time didn't go.
So I was covering for The Sun on the red carpet, and we're expecting, lots of This Morning people to come along and to chat to them. No one wanted to talk.
That's funny, isn't it?
Eamon Holmes, he went past.
Eamon was there.
To sort of add anything else, but I love Eamon.
Yeah.
And I think it was it's like going into it was a bit of a tense atmosphere because there's quite a few people that hated each other in the room.
Yes.
The world's turning. The people that won at the Trick Awards, right?
Yeah.
Think of it. You think of Piers, you think of Farage, you think of Julia, right?
And Eamon.
These people have an opinion. They are not against, they don't run with the established view. I know that if you work for a big television network, if you get to a certain level, you go if you know you've won. You know that, come on, right? The tide is turning, I think, and I don't think it's about the traumas that they've had. I think it says a lot about stations like this, if you want me to be completely honest, because people want honesty, they want transparency, they want decency, and they're sick of this woke crap that gets thrown down their throat.
They want subjects discussed and debated that actually affect them.
Yeah. I should point out that Andrew, by the way, Andrew's a proper person. He's not one of these media lovies like we all are. He's actually, lives in the real world and actually talks to people from the Freedom Association in Yorkshire, proper salt of the earth place. None of your, preening, makeup.
I think it's ridiculous.
Except for when he comes on here, obviously.
I think it's ridiculous not to have turned up at that event. It's not right that you should turn up just because you're going to win.
Something. Do you remember? Didn't she?
That was NTA, yeah. And she was kind of sort of doing something similar to that on Tuesday because she was just, I've been, seeing, I've had an amazing time. And I thought, well,
That's when they won the
we
NTA
can't all
6
get
years on the
summer
bounce.
off.
Crack on with your job.
And she's just been off for 2 weeks because of the whole Philip Schofield scandal.
Oh my God.
She eventually gets back to work and then she's off for Glastonbury
And
again.
the reason I think it's good that she's on planks this week is because an awful lot of people were very dismissive of her. And I think, as you say, the tide is turning. I think the people who thought of Holly as this kind of, really nice girl next door, down-to-earth individual, have seen her perhaps not quite in that light. And particularly now when she appears to think that the world is now her oyster. And her first headline that was written was, Holly jumps another queue, this time in a helicopter.
Right.
I think you have to remember wherever you are, and this is genuinely the most serious thing I'll say all night before you laugh at me. I think you have to understand, whatever stage you're at in your career, Piers will be a good example. You can be castigated by a network. You can be castigated by those lovies who don't think you pay. It's the British public. And when you have lost the British public, there is no amount of PR or anything that will get them back. The fact is, Piers Morgan never lost the British public, despite what happened to him at that place, right? I just think that there are certain people at ITV who perhaps might be in that position very soon. I don't know.
You can't just keep hiding.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's quite relevant, to be fair.
And Trick was the first kind of opportunity for these, the fans to actually turn and say, no, this is not who I want to win. I don't want to just to continue on.
Who would have thought you could walk into ITV and shout, does anybody fancy going to the awards? And everybody runs off, scuttles like cockroaches into dressing rooms and doorways and doesn't want to go. Amazing.
I haven't been there for a while. I wouldn't be able to answer.
No. That would be interesting. Anyway, Andrew, you've got your final nominee. Who is it?
Well, it's a Safer Schools initiative. And I'd also throw in a school in Rye. Sussex. I mean, some people do actually enjoy dressing up in furry costumes and things like that. That's all a bit of fun. If that's what you want to do. I've got a 7-year-old son who tries to imitate our cats sometimes and says, I'm a cat. You say, you're not really.
That's how it all starts, You really can't watch that.
You're not really a cat.
I've sent him to boarding school instantly.
And he says, of course not. I'm just pretending. Right. And that's absolutely fine. But, of course, there are some children who are taking this to another level and they're identifying, for example, as a cat. And this Safer Schools initiative has said that it's urging parents to familiarise themselves with the furry community so that they can communicate with their child.
Can we have another look at the furry?
It gets even better, Mike.
I'm a 24-year-old adult, and my hobby is dressing up as a blue cat on weekends. I wanted to be able to actually wear, from head to toe, look exactly like I do sort of in my head.
Courtney is a furry, one of a growing number of people who believe that they are part human, part animal.
It adds, the furry community is a complex one. made up of many different identities and definitions of what it means to be a furry.
Are you allowed to go to school like that?
Apparently, that's what they're saying.
So you sit in a classroom dressed like that?
It's a freak show.
This is ridiculous.
Well, there was a 13, 14-year-old girl at this school in Rye who basically said to her fellow pupil, you're not a cat. A human being can't be a cat. Be sensible about it. And a teacher or an official of that school described that girl as being despicable.
But
hold on, Jeremy.
No,
I mean, despicable is one of the strongest words you could actually use. And chances are she's probably been in detention or suspended or something for just telling the bleeding obvious.
She went further and she actually said, you're absolutely right, she said that my mum and dad told me that there are men and there are women. And the teacher went ballistic at her. But if you go with what we were saying earlier about when we were talking about Churchill, there can be that view and this view as well, but it's one view. Or identifying as a furry thing is a big thing. What does that mean?
I mean, you've got to look at the adults involved in this, haven't you? Forget the children doing their make-believe, dressing up, doing the freak show, whatever. You've got to look at the adults. Where are the parents? And where are the head teachers of those institutions?
Parents, Isabel.
Well, sometimes the parent doesn't know, thanks to the school, what exactly the child is doing in the classroom.
What are you saying? They take their cat stuff in their school bag and change when you drop them off?
If you've got the right school leadership, this is not being tolerated.
I call me old-fashioned because I probably am, but what happened to going to school? I used to go at 9 o'clock.
In a uniform.
In a uniform. We used to have an assembly. We had about 3 lessons in the morning. We'd stop for lunch. We'd have 3 more lessons in the afternoon. And then we'd go home and do homework. None of it involved dressing up as a furry or meowing or, cleaning the litter trays.
You haven't heard her line. She said I couldn't even put eye makeup on when I was growing up.
You get told off, you probably wouldn't be allowed to wear like short-sleeved shirts.
No ring. I used to have a ring. You're not allowed that. No.
But now you can just go in and dress.
And Andrew, what I don't get on a serious note from what you're saying, and it's a great, I think it's my favourite one to be fair, is when they say this is a community and kids. Tell me what 11-year-old woke up in the morning and went, this is my issue, right? Oh, do you know what? Today I want to be a cat. Just being deadly serious a minute. That can only be indoctrination because everybody else is doing it.
Or they're just taking the mick.
No, I think they're just shit, man.
There should be some that are taking the mick.
Whatever happened to herd immunity?
Get away with it, you know.
Well,
anyway,
you are on fire.
I think it doesn't jump species. We go in and identify as a cow with mad cow disease. Anyway, never mind. Sorry, we're out of time. Coming up, it's going to be my next nomination. My last nomination could be the winner. You never know. It has something to do with water, is all I'm saying. Don't drink too much of it. This is Talk TV. Welcome back to Plank of the Week. It is Friday night, of course, and following us, it's going to be Friday night with Nadine. Check out Nadine Dorries right after this show finishes very, very shortly. But first, we have to pick the Plank of the Week. And, of course, it's down to me to come up with my final nomination. And you have to say water has been in the news an awful lot lately. It was only, I think, last week that southeastern and southern water declared that there was going to be a hosepipe ban in all parts of southeast England, including Kent and Sussex, which basically means that if you try and water your flowers the wrong way, you'll get a £1,000 fine for using the thing that you've actually paid
might take a picture
to
of
use
you.
because somebody might shop you to the locals, right? Now, if you thought that was bad, wait till you get to this week and Thames Water, which is apparently now on the brink of collapse because it's in so much debt.
Right.
All they've got to do, now I know that it's not this simple, but the water falls from the sky, you collect it in a bowl, you pass it to the person over there that needs it. I mean, that's basically the business, isn't it? I mean, I know there's pipes and things involved and, some of it's quite big and a bit of infrastructure required. But that, in the end, the water falls from the sky for free. I've never understood why they charge us for it anyway.
It falls from the sky and it fills the bowl too much and there aren't enough bowls. And it floods everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, all the water's gone and we cut. One of your neighbours took a photograph of you.
Yeah, so
Really?
yeah, last summer, one of the neighbours, I don't know who it was.
You're just tuning in. This is about hose pipes, not nude sunbathing.
Took a picture.
I don't want to ask what you were doing with the water.
Took a picture of a guest who's been staying in my house and didn't know about hosepipe bans. She was actually from Venezuela, so she didn't actually realise.
You know what this is all about.
She didn't realise that
housekeeper,
we actually
Venezuela.
She wasn't a housekeeper. She absolutely wasn't. I'd like to have had that, but no, sadly not. Yeah, so she was watering the flowers out front and someone took a picture and I thought...
That's outrageous.
Yeah, no, it's awful.
Unbelievable. Did they try and find you then?
Happily not, or else I'd never seen
Unbelievable. Anyway, so...
What happens, though? Why can't these water companies, when it rains big time, save the water for when it doesn't? Or have I missed the point?
There are no reservoirs. None have been built since the last century.
Why?
Right? Because apparently it's not good for the environment. It's dangerous. It's bad for the planet.
1 hour, my
It's bad for
favourite
the
bit.
planet. How can having a reservoir be bad for the planet?
How can it be?
You're storing water,
Yeah.
right? But the point is, earlier this week, Sarah Bentley, who is the chief executive of Thames Water, resigned on the grounds that... yeah, she certainly did. She's gone off with a £1.6 million pay package, because that's what she now earns, right?
Wow.
She neglected to take a bonus, because basically she's ruined the business completely. And it's so now in debt that the government are talking about bailing it out. Now, bailing it out is a big thing because it's our money they want to bail it out with. I mean, I find it incredible that people cannot run a massive organisation where you're getting people to pay for something that you get for free and you can't make a profit.
14 billion, isn't it?
Yeah. The debts are so heavy. We've got, though, and this may be a clue as to why Thames Water doesn't work very well.
Yes.
Because we've managed to...
You're
very good. It's full of it here. So when you're in a hole, stop digging and all of that.
It's not all about the money.
Cascading down from our secret video supply here, this is how they operate at Thames Water. This is why they don't know what they're doing. Check this out.
From the day I arrived and my interview took place, they showed that they cared. They wanted to know about my interests, what I was into, not just what the company needed. And you were really celebrated for being you.
Being at work is not the be-all and end-all for somebody in their life, and we do fully recognise that, and therefore are big advocates of having a proper work-life balance.
I mean,
can't bear it.
he's a bit
I'm
of a drip,
sorry.
isn't he? I mean, surely to God, it's not about a work-life balance.
Is this day release or something?
I mean,
care in the community.
These are the people who work at Thames Water talking about what a great place it is to work at.
But even that promo, in the world we live in, is strategically organised to cover whatever. It's not about the business.
Right.
I wonder how much they spent on
And all
that.
we hear is that they sound like the NHS now. They say we've had decades of underinvestment. Well, they haven't had decades of underinvestment. They've had hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds from the government, from us, in subsidy.
She can't change the colour of her yellow hair because there's no water to wash it in. She had a LUSH bath bomb.
You just stole my joke.
Yeah. What's it like having a LUSH bath bomb without water? That's what I want to know.
Nice.
Quite gritty.
A bit gritty.
Where you give yourself the prize now.
Well, I wonder whether it is between Matt Hancock and Thames Water. I don't want to give you an offer of a show of hands, but give me a show of hands. Thames Water, come on, let's go. Matt Hancock?
Oh, obviously.
We're not going for Matt Hancock.
Right, it's Thames Water then. There you go. The winner of Plank of the Week is indeed Thames Water. Well done. Let's hope you do well in the future, and let's hope that you don't drink all the profits, because that would be entirely wrong. We're going to pull everything now and close the show with this message. Make sure you watch Nadine. She's next, right here on TalkTV. Thank you to Jeremy. Thank you to Isabel. Thank you to Amanda.
Outrageous
Thank you to Andrew as well.
This
is the way to do it. This is Plank of the Week.
Oh, my.